Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elvis Astrology at elvisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today I'm going to give you my take or interpretation on the north nodes going into Aries and the south nodes are going into Libra. And of course, remember at all times that you always have free will. All I'm doing is giving you some possibilities. You as an individual make your own mind up what you want to do. But certainly for those folks that were born with their north nodes in Aries, in terms of significance on an individual, this would be a significant time for you. And what is that significance? The significance is that most evolutionary astrologers read these nodes as destiny points. And so for you, if you've got your north nodes in Aries, this actually says this is a time of favorable changes in your destiny. So that's when people, places, things, events conspire to get you on your destiny path. And certainly for those folks that have their north nodes in the opposite sign, so that would be your north nodes in Libra, this can also be a time of real big shifting. Now, technically, if we just look at the astrology on the surface, the south nodes is what we are to let go of. It's also in this lifetime where we easily gravitate to, that we may have many skills. So it says for those folks that it's a time of either readjusting, incorporating your south nodes, but reaching for the north nodes. But sometimes I've found that this also can be reactivation or an activation of your destiny path favorably too. All right, so in terms of direction and movement, the north nodes, south nodes always move backwards. There's 30 degrees in every sign, so that means this starts at 30 or 29 degrees. And in this case, for the north nodes, it would be Aries. Now, I've also found that during the 1.5, approximately 17 months, so a year and a half time period, that the transiting nodes stay in a sign or signs, all during that time period, you can have an activation of some sort. You don't have to wait for an exact conjunction of the north nodes on your north nodes or vice versa on your south nodes to have some kind of effect. Anyway, that's what I've found historically, not only with myself, but with my clients too. So when does this actually occur? Well, officially, it's around the 18th of July, 2023, through the 11th of Jan, 2025, that we have these north nodes in Aries and the south nodes in Libra. So this is approximately an 18-year cycle. When I talk on my videos, sometimes I say it's an 18 to 20-year cycle. And the reason I say that is because the cycle itself takes about 18 months, right? So now you're getting 18 plus 18 months, just to let you know. This is also tied in with something called the Saros cycle. I'm not going to get into the Saros cycle right now, but certainly Bernadette Brady has done a great job elucidating what this means. It basically refers to themes that are sometimes carried out for thousands of years. And it tells you, generally speaking, the effects. I think I'm going to do that on individual, maybe monthly videos, instead of putting all this in as one lump sum. But The Eagle and the Lark is the book that she wrote all that in. I don't know how easy that is to get hold of. And speaking of references and books, I put two important books that I've certainly consulted, and some paraphrasing I've done as well from these two books. And it's A Science of Astrology by Mark and Marcia Moore. I don't know if you can get that anymore. And Jan Spiller, who actually did the Astrology for the Soul. And I've got two of her books on that. So I did look into these and get some kind of ideas from both these books. References are below in the text box. And then, of course, all the events that happened over the many years where we did have the north nodes in Aries and the south nodes in Libra. I just went onto the internet to do some quick searches in that. So certainly when I start talking about events that happened in the past when the north nodes were in Aries, south nodes in Libra, I'm not pulling up every single thing. Certainly all my viewers, you're welcome to add in some things, maybe some important things that I missed. I just wanted to do a general overview for my viewers and listeners. All right, so when we actually do look in the past years when we had these nodes in Aries and Libra, we're looking at December 2004 to the third week of June 2006. And if we look at the events that were happening then, or at least some of them, we had Eris, the dwarf planet, was discovered. George Bush was inaugurated for a second time. YouTube was launched. Here we are. An 8.7 earthquake in Sumatra happened. We also had another 7.6 earthquake in Sumatra as well. Pope Paul died. Charles and married Camilla at this time. I didn't realize it was that long ago. We had Hurricane Katrina. And it's interesting, we had the NASA Mars reconnaissance enter orbit around Mars. And of course, the ruler of the transiting north nodes in Aries is Mars. Twitter was launched at that time. And Pluto was classified or declassified as a dwarf planet. The next set that we're looking at is going to be the 2nd of April, 1986 to the 2nd of December, 1987. And in that time period, I just pulled out one thing. Martial law ended in Taiwan after 39 years. Wow. Okay, let's go to the next time period. And here we're looking at the third week of August 1967 to 19th of April 1969. And we had during this time period both, sadly, Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy were assassinated. We also had massive war protests going along, especially through the younger generation and students at this time. The next time period is the last week of Jan 1949, right the way through the 27th of July 1950. And this is when the Geneva Convention was signed. The book by George Orwell, 1984, was published. NATO was established. And interestingly, this is when we see the first computer emerge. The next time period I looked at was the second week of July, 1930, through the 29th of December, 1931. And so there was a number of things that happened with regards to money, stock exchanges, and money being lost. It was during this kind of time period, the Great Depression started, the Great Plains, big drought, Dust Bowl, all those types of things happened. And the stock exchange, certainly the stock market dropped drastically at this time. And this was kind of the start of it. Certainly, just prior to this time period was really after the First World War. And it was a time of prosperity. But even in that time of prosperity, there were drops in the stock market, but then, it was propped up. So really, it was the beginnings of that happening at this time. And of course, the Great Depression as well. But the Empire State Building opened up. And the U.S. anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, was adopted. We had an 8.5 earthquake in New Zealand. All right, the last time period I'm going to cover is going to be the second week of December 1911, right the way through the 6th of July 1913. And so in this time period, we had a few things of interest. The Titanic sunk at this time, during this time period. The Republic of China was established, and the women's suffrage procession was official at this time, so it started that movement as well. There were rumblings of the First World War during this time period, but it was officially started in 1914. King George of Greece was assassinated, and 3.7 million people died in floods in China. So after looking at all this and all the definitions of Aries as well as Libra, I came up with this sentence that the general idea of these movement of the nodes was us individually and collectively finding ways to develop interdependence without sacrificing your individuality. All right, so when we look at Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars, and we look at Libra is ruled by Venus. So when we put Venus and Mars together, we call them the celestial lovers. So then this whole transit of the nodes into both Aries and Libra says it's going to be about relationships. But it's also about other things too. If we are free, for sure, so that's kind of like the Aries part of it and independent, but only as we abide by and respect the law. So that's the other part where the south nodes are in Libra, which represents rules, regulations, and the law, mainly the law, as well as social decorum and graces too. So I would say if you could picture a seed sprouting, that's the Aries part of it. And it continues to grow into a plant, right? And keeps that image. But it follows the rules of nature as it grows. So I think that was an interesting image for me to really put into perspective, both the north nodes in Aries and the south nodes in Libra. So essentially, we all need to know who we are. So this is an exploration of this for the next 1.5 years. As individuals, we need to progress into higher states of consciousness, right? Aries rules the head, including how all mankind is unified as one. So therefore, we look at love being represented by Libra, in action. And the action part, of course, is the Aries part of it. Another kind of picture that you could, or analogy that you could use to help you understand this time period is like astrology with the planets, the stars, and the transit. They do not rule us. They give us information to use with our free will, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, to take action or not. And this idea is natural law. All right, when we look at Aries, this is the symbol of it is the ram. It is cardinal, which means that it leads, and it's fire. So that also means that it is excitable. It's willing to act quickly, that type of thing. It rules the head. Aries can be headstrong without accounting for consequences. Independence and blazing our own path is important. It rules the blood as well, the muscle system, and the motor systems of the brain to take action. That sort of fight-flight type of activity. So Libra has a symbol of the scales of justice. It is ruled by Venus. It's also a cardinal sign, but it's an air sign instead. So it also has that leadership type of energy, but the air sign then lends it more to diplomacy, balance, harmony, right? It applies to the law. It also has this artistic appreciation, social graces, and honors relationships, especially marriage. It rules the adrenals, so we talked about that, the fight or flight reactions, and is next to the kidneys. So the endocrine system is also important as well, and that's the pituitary gland. If we, so you can see that with the Libra adding to it, relationships for sure, but marriage as an institution may come under review. Now, it's the south nodes that are in Libra, so this is a review to let go of things. So when I combined both these together, I really liked the idea of, so Aries and Libra together, I saw it as beauty, so that's represented by Libra and, of course, the ruler Venus, with a solid core of belief in themselves. So that's, of course, the Aries part with Mars ruling it. If we look at some of the activities we might be seeing during this time period, it might be exercising the muscles, but to maintain equilibrium, like not just getting on the treadmill or running somewhere. And so this suggests things like yoga, dance, judo, and tai chi may become more important too. And developing a strong sense of self, where your body, that's Aries, will tell you what is happening in your mind. Where in your mind you may release, have hormonal releases of some sort because of what's happening in your mind, as maybe even stress manifests. So mind-body research and interest may manifest as a really important to our health. So this brings in the whole mental, physical aspects, and we may see a lot more evidence of this during this time period. Now, trendiness in fashion will be less important because the south nodes are in Libra, and the north nodes in Aries say, I want to be me. I want to just do whatever I want to do with my fashion. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe we'll have some emerging new radical designers come in to mix things up a bit. Now, weather-wise, this could be a lot of wildfires that we're not able to control. War could certainly be part of the mix here as well. Not that we don't have that already. But I think this whole discontent with leaders is going to be coming louder, where the folks aren't going to be putting up with stuff. And in fact, we may have some courageous leaders, maybe even some Aries folks, that may emerge during this time. But they're going to have a little bit of charisma with that whole Libra in the mix too. Now, negatively, with the north nodes in Aries, folks are not going to be caring about others. They're just going to want to care about themselves. So that's kind of the negative side of it. Collectively, for example, we could have countries saying that they justify war or attack because they were just defending themselves. That's very Aries, right? Now, Libra really gives you the desire to be conventionally correct. And Librans can repress their true self, right? So we're wanting to express ourselves, right? Individually, that's the Aries and North nodes. But this Libra side of it can say, no, I will put down my individual self so that I can do what's right by society, for instance. And on the negative end, this can have sort of an obsessive attachment to fairness and justice, where you can't be diplomatic and negotiate, that you're just obsessed with this. This has to be fair. This has to be just. And society won't accept this. So those types of things could be going on as well. But I suggest, because it's the south nodes there, they will have to die off a little bit during that time period where they're not emphasized so much. I did want to talk a little bit about the eclipses. I've just got this down here as a note to myself. So there's going to be 5 north new moon eclipses. And I thought it was interesting that of those 5 new moon eclipses, 3 of those new moons are going to be in Aries. 2 of them are going to be in Libra. So this says to me there's going to be more of an emphasis to promote that energy, right, of the north nodes, individuality. There's one full moon in Aries and one full moon in Libra, suggesting a time of adjustments. Now, I will obviously, throughout the next 18 months or so, talk about those eclipses that are going to be coming up. Our first eclipse I've already spoken about, and I'll expound on it a bit more in my April 2023 video, but it will be around the 20th of April, which is, the spring equinox time. And it will be a significant total new moon eclipse at 29 degrees Aries and some minutes. And I do talk about that a little bit in my March video, and I'll talk more in my April. But it is an eclipse. If you've got anything around those degree points, expect some new start, but not without having to let go of something, depending where this is, whether it's a sun, moon, ascendant. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Okay. So I'm just going to cover some of the transits that I thought might, if you mark calendars and that might be important, especially if you've got something around this degree point, just for 2023. In 2024, I'll cover more transits, but I think it's a lot to take on if I try to do everything at once. And I am going to be covering the individual signs and the potential effects of both these nodes being in different houses. So I picked out the 4th of October, well, besides the one that I just spoke about, the one in April this year, the total new moon eclipse, that is important. The next one I really saw, so we're looking at, importantly, the planets that rule both these signs, right? So for Aries, it's going to be Mars, and for Libra, it's going to be Venus. So I kind of did that as a theme. And the 4th of October, we do have Mars will be conjuncting the south nodes, which are going to be in Libra, and opposing the north nodes. This is probably going to be a time period where we're going to have to take some action, maybe individually and collectively, with regards to letting some things, actual action to let things go, with regards to maybe some laws, some way of maybe not being fair, maybe some diplomacy is going to be enacted here. It's at 22 degrees of Libra, the actual conjunction that I'm talking about. The next one I've got here is the Sun conjuncting the south nodes at 24 degrees of Libra on the 18th of October. And so this is like a big spotlight illuminating, I would say, probably inequities with regards to fairness, the law, and again, that diplomacy thing. But it could also, because Venus rules this, it could also put a spotlight on letting go of perhaps attitudes towards women, and then generalize that to attitudes towards marriage, which is what is under the auspices of Libra. So there may be some big discussions about that. And then I'll just end with like the 30th November. We have Venus, which rules Libra, and that will be conjunct the south nodes. And so both these planets that I talked about, begin with the Mars and then this Venus, are both in conjunction with the south nodes. So it seems to me that there may be, as well as the Sun, by the way, in 2023, this real big spotlight on, what is not working here with regards to things being fair. Fair to us individually, fair to us in our community, fair to us in our country, in our world, and really making some shifts. So the shifts can come through protests. It can come through people coming forward, talking about it. It can come through laws being changed, maybe even amendments to our Constitution in terms of the USA. Okay, I'm next going to go on to each of the individual signs and ascendants. You decide how you want to read it. I'm going to start off with Aries. So obviously Aries, the north nodes are in your sign. So generally speaking, this is asking you to get on your destiny path. And if you've got anything significant, in this sort of area, like say you are in Aries and you've got your north nodes here, this is going to mark a very important 18 months for you regarding you personally getting things on your destiny path, which with regards to not only things around you, but things inside you too. You know, that first house also talks about what's inside you. But it could have a lot of Aries taking action with regards to changing up their image. And maybe making announcements of taking a whole new road, that type of thing. Now, the south nodes are in the 7th house. So this can do a few things. It's asking you to let go of something with regards to partnerships. And this could be translated into, for some Aries, deciding to divorce or to leave a partner or to do a major change with regards to their partnerships. Because it's the south nodes, Aries, that are sitting in your 7th house, the south nodes are asking you to either let something go or let something go and change something into something different with regards to partnerships. Now, it could also be business partnerships as well as clients that can come into the mix as well. But I would say this is an important time for all Aries and Libra, just generally speaking. You really have to have something significant appearing around Aries as well as Libra to have a real big effect. So these are more general types of themes that may be coming up for you, right? Now for Taurus, we've got the north nodes in Aries are going to be in your 12th house. And then the south nodes are going to be in your 6th house. So, I mean, Taurus, you're still going to have Uranus in your sign, certainly up to a few more years. And Jupiter will be in your sign to May 2024. And those are positive, I think, influences, with especially the Jupiter part of it, right? So it's not all black and white, but I'm going to be kind of talking black and white. So if we look at that whole 12th house, Taurus, the 12th house is kind of the house where we got to clean things up, right? And it's asking you to clean things up, essentially. What have you been ignoring? What's being hidden under the carpet? But it can also talk to healing. There could be some Taurians, especially with your connection with the earth and healing itself, where you decide you want to take this destiny path of healing others and healing yourself, maybe even through some kind of shamanic type thing as well. Anything to do with the metaphysical could be featured here with regards to a new kind of start in your life. Now, the 6th house, where the south nodes are mainly to do with health, as well as our day-to-day job. If you don't work, it's, well, what do I do day to day? So you're being asked here with the south nodes to kind of let go of, or at least change up some of what you're doing. Maybe something you're doing day to day is getting boring and you're just doing things by rote, and you maybe need to let go of some of that, change it up, and maybe look towards the 12th house. Maybe some of that healing might be in order for you. And maybe some of that healing that you take up will affect your health. 6th house is health as well. I mean, but it can also mean, positively letting go of ill health, that you can finally wrap something up right now. In ancient sort of astrology, I go way back, the 6th house can also represent sort of indentured servants in that, where you had no choice but to work at what you were doing, even though you didn't want to. So for some Taurians, you may have an opportunity to let go of something that you've taken on as a burden in your life that you never wanted, and that disappears. So for Gemini, this north nodes in Aries will be sextiling your sign, and it's in your 11th house. Oh, that's fantastic. So you're going to get opportunities to maybe work with different groups. You're going to maybe have new friends come into your life as well. You may even get opportunities to make some dreams come true for yourself, Gemini. So that's a positive influence for you. Now, you'll have the south nodes in the 5th house. And so this could play out as a few things. The 5th house encompasses a lot of things. Generally speaking, we talk about it being a creative house, but it's also the house of true love. It is also the house of children. It's being our authentic self, games of chance, our own business. So I know that's a lot of things, Gemini. But generally speaking, I think with these south nodes for most Gemini, this is probably going to have you maybe letting go of a way that you were expressing yourself that was not your authentic self. That maybe these new friends in the 11th house or groups that you belong to help you develop a new way of expressing your authentic self, maybe even a new artistic way of expressing yourself, and letting go of a way that you've been existing up till now. Just classic astrology could also have some Geminis, if they have children, leaving home, right? That could be a very black and white astrological way of looking at south nodes in the 5th house. Children leave home at this time. It could have you also deciding that you want to let go of your business and maybe work with friends or groups instead. All right, take care, Gemini. For Cancer, you've got 2 squares happening with either of these nodes. So when we look at the north nodes, we have a square happening with your 10th house. 10th house, generally speaking, is your career, but it also can be your long-term goals. And so, I always say that squares don't have to be bad. It just means that we're going to put some effort into things to make things happen, and that you may have some challenges, but those challenges may make you grow in a positive way, Cancer. Now, they're north nodes, so they're meant to be where you're going. So I would say maybe there's something in your career that you have to change up, maybe even overcome, to be maybe more successful with regards to your career. You may also just come to, an epiphany of saying, I need to reset my long-term goals, or maybe I've never set my long-term goals for my career. Why don't I do that? And maybe you find it a little bit of a challenge. I would say that because the north nodes are in Aries and Mars rules this, males might be favorable for you, especially with regards to taking some action. That's also Mars in your 10th house. So when we look at the south nodes in Libra, that is your 4th house of home. A square is also there. So this could have you dealing with things regarding your home, your childhood home, your mother, and by extension, your family, maybe even your habits. It could be one of these or all of these or a combination of them. It could play out simply as, you are in a home that you want to get out of, and that you've got to work at letting go of this home and maybe working harder at a career to maybe bring in some more money. Or maybe this could happen. Your 10th house of career asks you to change your location. And that's a challenge for you because you've just bought a home, 4th house. And so you've got to make these decisions with regards to, what do I do with my home here? But trust me, Cancer, you're going to come up with the right solution. But it could come externally to Cancer from your home and your family, that just providing challenges for you. I mean, we all have to go through something in this life with regards to our family, right? So it might be just during this time period that you've got to let go of some difficulties with regards to your family and or your mother that maybe you've been dealing with, that maybe you decide, I don't have to deal with that anymore. Yeah, so it can play out in different ways like that. Yeah, but it's a letting go, or at least changing up what you've been doing so far in the home, the mother, the family. Take care, Cancer. So for Leo, this is a trine aspect. So the trine aspects is just pulsating favorable energy when it comes to the north nodes. The south nodes will be a sextile, which are just opportunities coming your way. So it activates your 9th house, Leo, these north nodes. And so this can play out various ways, but it can also, at its highest, have us kind of going through a self-actualization where, what is my purpose here? What legacy do I want to leave behind? What do I want people to remember me for? That could be an ongoing theme here with this trine really pulsating away and favorably maybe putting things in front of you, people in front of you, information in front of you that helps you formulate something for this. But on another level, it could have some folks finishing off an advanced degree Getting something published that's important, especially important to your destiny path, Leo. Perhaps also some involvement of the law. Classically, we speak of the ninth house as, the house of travel as well as foreign connections. So all these things could come in a favorable way. Foreign people or foreign places could come in to support you and bring something for you with regards to your destiny path. Very positive for you, Leo, there. Now, the sextile happens with your third house and the south nodes in Libra. And so the third house, generally speaking, speaks to communications. It's also siblings. It's your neighborhood. It's early education. It's general travel around your neighborhood or state. It's also writing. So for some Leos, you may be letting go of some major writing project that was of significance. It could have you stopping some kind of local travel that you were doing and maybe now having to do some international travel. It could have you letting go of a way of communicating and you get opportunities. Maybe you get opportunities to take some kind of course, Toastmasters or something else that gives you a better way to communicate with others. I think overriding all this, Leo, I feel that is opportunities. And certainly if that's something that you're thinking of, you'd like to change up the way you communicate, or even like say the way you present yourself. This is a positive time to reach out for opportunities to change that up. Take care, Leo. So for Virgos, Virgo, this is in your 8th house, the north nodes in Aries. And so this said to me that there may be some new, I saw this as a big reset with regards to what? Your investments. You may take up some kind of new shared resources responsibilities with somebody else. It's also the house of the psychological self. So this is an ideal opportunity to get inside your head with, say, a therapist and really make headway in that, for sure, right? Headway being Aries, the head. But it also could be the real serious development of a sexual relationship, or at least a very serious relationship. So this is like a new start as well. It's like a restart type thing. But investments are going to be very favorable for you, I would say here. That's kind of what I'd be looking at. 401ks, investments, maybe having to get better opportunities for a mortgage, or maybe even pay off some credit cards, that type of thing. That could be coming in. Because Aries, which is where the north nodes will be, is ruled by Mars, it could be that males will be more important for that particular type of thing. Now, the 2nd house is where the south nodes will be in Libra. And so this says that you may be letting go of some source of income here. Just generally speaking, it could also say that you may let go of some aspect that you've had up to now with regards to not only your values, generally speaking, but the value of yourself. That maybe you let go of some of that. And working with that whole 8th house north node thing, you start developing a very strong infrastructure in your mind where you start have more value of yourself. And by doing that, that translates into people picking up and treating you better and valuing you more. Yeah, that other thing that could bring in for you too, that whole, and depending what you have in the 8th house, planets and that, Virgo, you could also have sort of like a bonus come in for you that you maybe didn't expect. Anyway, I'll talk some more about that like in the months that come where there's something specific for you, Virgo. Take care. All right, so for Libra. So Libra, the north nodes in Aries will be in your 7th house. And of course, that's your opposite sign. And of course, the south nodes are going to be in your sign, Libra. So when we look at this setup, and certainly if you are a Libra where you've got your north nodes in Libra, this will be a significant time with regards to relationships, no question of it. But the themes that this sets up really is the partner, business partner and or marriage partner, as well as clients, could have a focus on them with regards to you being able to get on some kind of new destiny path for yourself. So the focus is kind of off you with regards to this new start on your destiny path and more on the partner. So, hey, this could even turn out to have a marriage partner come into view for some Librans, where some may even get married at this time. But it can go the opposite way too, where maybe the marriage partner wants to leave or wants to change up something in the marriage and you have to work with them. Or a business partner wants to leave the partnership or wants to do something different and you have to work with them. This is what I say, Libra. Use all those wonderful diplomacy skills that you've got and real desire for justice and balance and fairness. Use those skills at this time. And remember, it is an 18-month cycle here, right? Not 18-month cycle, but it lasts for 18 months. Okay, so now we look at the first house, which is you. Everything inside you and around you. And the South nodes say, we'd like you to let some things go here. Now, it could translate into, of course, people, places, things, events leaving your life at this time. So I guess you may have to change things in your world, Libra, as a result of what a partner wants you to do or what a partner wants to do. So it's a kind of a trigger thing with the partners, clients, business, marriage are going to require you to let go of some things here. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And certainly for those Librans that are going to be getting married during this time period, having the South nodes in your first house just says, I'm going to change, I'm going to let go of my single status and instead look to the 7th house where the North nodes are and get married and join up with a partner. All right. So all this doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be very positive too. Take care, Libra. So for Scorpio, you've got the North nodes in your 6th house and the South nodes are going to be in your 12th house. And for most folks watching this in 2023 that are Scorpios, you still have the South nodes in your sign as well. So that'll be shifted out by the time this happens, right, which is going to be, somewhere around the 17th or so of July. So now this speaks to your health foremost, but it also speaks to your day-to-day job, maybe any encumbrances that you've taken on in your life that you just need to let go of. And how could that really pan out? Well, for those Scorpios that maybe have had ill health, this brings in a new destiny path with regards to getting better health, having medical professionals come in and really assist you with your health here. Or you may take control of it where you say, I've got to get better health here. I've got to improve my nutrition and improve my exercise habits. But it can also be mental health too, especially as a Scorpio, which kind of rules the psychological realm. So all three of these areas of health could come up for you positively, where people, places, things, events come in to aid you to get on a better destiny path regarding those types of things. So it could pan out for some Scorpios as a new job. You get an opportunity to change up your job, or you stay in your present job, but you do something completely different. Now, the 12th house is classified as a hidden house. It's where your South nodes are. So I see this, Scorpio, where you're tripping yourself up, be honest with yourself and take a look inside. Now, I would suggest take a look inside with a professional or with friends that you really can trust. But I would say that this is, I get this sort of trip up thing. Look for things that you've been hiding underneath the carpet, things that you've been ignoring, maybe even things that you've just let go, that you said, well, I should have said something, I should have taken a stand, but you didn't, because they don't go away, right? Now, for other Scorpios, this time period may have you visiting hidden places, not because you specifically have to go there, like say, for instance, hospitals could become more important for you. But maybe they'll come more important for you because of the job that you're doing. It could be that something happens with regards to some friend, family that requires you to go and visit them. It's also ashrams, government offices, any kind of hidden place is featured here in the 12th house. Those could become more important for some reason, not because of something you're doing, but more like external events that require you to go there. I'm thinking a direct translation here is that you may have to let go of a job that you're doing in a hospital setting, or in an ashram, or in a government office, because you want to point towards that north nodes in the 6th house and change a job up. So for some Scorpios, that may be in the mix here too. Take care, Scorpio. For Sagittarius, well, Sagittarius, you, just like Leo, have this favorable trine happening. Awesome! And this favorable trine has to do with your 5th house. So those north nodes are aspecting your 5th house. 5th house is true love. It's children. It's your own business. At its core, it asks you for 2 things. Be creative, whatever that means to you. But most importantly, be your authentic self. And with the trine, wow, Sagittarius, you're going to get unlimited opportunities here to express yourself creatively through being your authentic self. Children may feature too, so there may be some Sagittarians that have either a pregnancy or a child comes into view that's important for your destiny path. Some Sagittarians may decide to put their own business together. This may be excellent to do that with the trine aspect and the north nodes being destiny path. You may just get the opportunity to have some fabulous creative project come your way that not only is a fabulous creative project, but it also expresses who you are. And like I said, children can be favorable for you too. Now, the 11th house, well, that's a sextile aspect with the south nodes. So this really is, in an easy way, you're going to get opportunities to change up your friends and change up the groups you belong to. So perhaps as you get illumination with regards to being authentic, you realize that some of the friends and the groups that you belong to don't aid you, don't support you with regards to you being your authentic self, or don't recognize your creativity that maybe other people that are new friends do, and you decide to let them go. But it's an easy thing to do. You'll have opportunities to do it. Of course, that can play out in many different ways. Your friends move away. You move away. You start taking up different interests with different groups, and you just don't have you're not on the same page anymore. But you know that 11th house is also hopes, dreams, wishes type thing. So for some Sagittarians, you may have, especially as it relates to creativity and creative projects, you may have some fabulous opportunities to make some dreams come true with regards to that, like creative things. But it is going to require you letting go of something, or at the very least, changing up what you're doing in the 11th house, like kind of bringing it up a notch. Take care, Sagittarius. For Capricorn, both these nodes square you. So for the first one, with the north nodes in Aries, that squares you in the 4th house. So again, I always say about squares, these are just challenges that you might have to overcome, but they can not only make you stronger, they can strengthen your home, right? And in some cases, it might be something real simple, maybe something in the foundation or in the home needs some repair, and it's going to take over a year to get it all done properly. But then you're safe and secure. I mean, that 4th house is ruled by Cancer in the natural zodiac, and Cancer likes to be safe and secure. So it could be something as simple as that. But on a negative side, it could have you dealing with your family and or your mother, where there's challenges of some sort that you have to overcome. Always try to think outside the box, is what I've got to say. But it seems like something has to be looked at carefully here. And working with others are always important. So you may be working with your family and your mother to make things happen. I mean, for older people that have older parents, it could be for some of those folks, you have to put your mother in, or father, most likely your mother, into long-term care. She doesn't want to go in, but there's just no question she has to go in there for better care and for her safety. And that just presents a big challenge. Maybe seek out help from the family, even extended family, with those folks that are facing that as Capricorns. So then we look at the South nodes, and that square with the 10th house of career. And so this is asking you to let go of some aspects regarding your career that just aren't working for you anymore. How's that going to present itself? It's going to present itself probably as someone not being happy with the work that you're doing, someone challenging you, blocks being put to projects or programs you're trying to put together. What it's really saying to you, Capricorn, is that you need to let go of some way of dealing with your career. Maybe it means for some Capricorns, you've got to change your career. And that's going to require some work on your part to do it. For others, it could translate simply into the fact that you really want to work in your home, but the corporate world says you're coming back into a home office, or not a home office, but an office, a corporate office. And you're not too happy about that. And you have to work out some kind of deal where you can still work from home and still satisfy the corporate world. Good luck, Capricorn. For Aquarius, well, Aquarius, you have a nice sextile happening here, and it's your third house where the north nodes in Aries are. Now, you're already electrified in your brain, very scientific, intellectual. You catch on fast. This just says to me you're going to have opportunities to do a lot of communicating with regards to your destiny in that area. It could bring your siblings in more, where you're just literally interacting with them or getting opportunities to interact with them a lot more. Maybe you'll change up your neighborhood where you're closer to your siblings. But it can bring in neighbors and your neighborhood as opportunities of importance to put you on some kind of destiny path. But overall, we're talking about the third house communications, writing, maybe sales and commerce type projects could happen. You're going to get lots of opportunities to do this. But I would just say overall, you're going to be doing a lot of thinking, a lot of communicating, and perhaps a lot of writing as well. Now, when we look at the south nodes, that forms a trine, and it's in your 9th house. Well, this is also positive for you, Aquarius. I would say that a few things can happen. I would say you're going to let go of, say, an advanced degree. You finally finish it, and you could put it to bed. Close the door on that advanced degree. I finally got it. That's a 9th house thing. For others, it may be tidying up some kind of law type thing that you've been involved in that you're able to say goodbye to and shut the door. For others, you might be completing a trip that you take, or maybe that you've been living abroad and you now have to say goodbye to that international place that you've been living in and go back to your neighborhood, the 3rd house, right? It's foreign people and foreign things. So I really think a lot of this is tied into either trips that you take, a foreign trip that you take, or that you are currently living in a foreign country and you now are realizing you need to go back home and that's part of what you're letting go of. Yeah, I think that's kind of it here. Positive things, opportunities, no question of it for you, Aquarius. This is a positive placement of both the north nodes and south nodes. It should be easy for you to let go of some things and easy for you to take opportunities in other things. Take care, Aquarius. All right, Pisces. Pisces, this north nodes in Aries is in your 2nd house. And so this says to me, for some, you're going to have a new stream of income because the 2nd house rules the income that you make. I think that's very positive. For others, because this is the sign of independence, Aries, you may really shift some kind of value of yourself and say, you know what, people aren't valuing me anymore, and I'm going to change this up. I'm going to change the job that I'm doing, and therefore the income that I'm making, and maybe ratchet it up a little bit by valuing yourself more. You're insisting on other people's valuing you, equating to, better give me some more money here. So that could be up for you too. You may acquire literally more possessions. That's the other thing that can happen for you. Yeah. The main thing is income that you make. There's going to be new opportunities for you here to do that, or at least the theme of you, as you value yourself, so too others will value you and give you more money for that. But it kind of emphasizes this whole idea of new initiatives, right? Of you declaring that you're independent and an individual and you need to be respected. Yeah, that's what's coming through here. Now, you have your south nodes, or the south nodes in Libra are in your 8th house. And so that's letting go of all things that are 8th house, or at least adjusting things that you've been doing with regards to your 8th house. That could pan out in a number of ways. It could have, for some Pisces, letting go of either a way of doing a deep, personal, intimate relationship, or literally letting go of an intimate relationship. It can also have you maybe cashing in some of your investments at this time, that you just decide that you want to do that it's an important time in your life. Maybe you're going to be retiring and you start looking at, well, what money do I have here? But it's more of a letting go of things like investments. For others, this could be an ideal opportunity to tie up. You end your mortgage, you end paying off your credit card. So look for opportunities, positive opportunities in that way. Pisces, yeah. It's a psychological self too. So for some Pisces, this may be tying up some psychological therapy that you've been doing, and you're emerging out of that cocoon psychologically as a whole new person. Now this is in Libra, right? So we're talking about relationships. So this could go hand in hand with letting go of an old way of doing intimate relationships. And as you've gone through this development of your psychological mind, you're able to have a different view of how intimate relationships should be. Take care, Pisces. All right, folks, that wraps up what I have to say. I know it's not a lot. There's tons more that I could be saying about it. But, leave comments back and forth. I'm pretty good at responding back to you. As always, if you want me to do your chart, this would be kind of a nice thing to do, and also a nice gift to give to someone, especially if they've got their north nodes in Aries. It's a whole new start for you. All right, folks, I'm sending you lots of love. Please take care of yourself and enjoy this it's a breath of fresh air to be not only independent, but to be an individual, still within the society that we are. Bye for now, folks.